case that somebody's scammed every 11 seconds in Australia?
Well, I don't know about that statistic, but I do know that it is increasing, and the number of scams is enormous. Australians are losing hundreds of millions of dollars, and there's hundreds of thousands of reports each and every year. So I think that, really that demonstrates the scale, the extent of the issue.
Who's being scammed? Is there any particular group that's being targeted?
What we see in terms of cybercrime is that anybody can be a victim. It is a money-making venture for organised crime groups, and they will exploit whatever vulnerabilities they can.
We've been listening in to these scammers. We've been listening to the games that they play, how they lure people into handing over their personal and financial details. There's an enormous amount of clever psychological trickery in how they do it, isn't there?
We oftentimes notice that the social engineering aspects are quite pronounced in this type of crime because it is about exploiting vulnerabilities, maybe targeting victims when they're rushed. They don't necessarily pay due attention to emails or SMS messages and click links because of a lapse of concentration. So cyber criminals, this is their business. They will use whatever tactics they can.
What successes have you had? Have you had any big busts of any of these cyber criminals?
There's been a number of cases that I can refer to. What happened in that particular case was a company paid an invoice, but the invoice was altered with false bank account details, and subsequently over $600,000 was transferred to a bank account owned by cyber criminals. That money was subsequently laundered in gold bullion and in cryptocurrency. And just recently, the money launderer involved in that particular matter was arrested, and over $120,000 was recovered and returned to the victim of that matter. So that shows the efforts of the disruption that has taken place, and through those disruptive efforts, the AFP and its partners have been able to return and recover around about $11 million that would have been lost to the Australian community in business email compromise.
And no disrespect to you, but if the last year the reported levels of crime were 323 million, 11 million's a drop in the bucket, really, isn't it?
It's a start of the efforts that are necessary. I think every dollar secured and every crime disrupted is significant.